What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. Just wrapped up a pretty
Bleh.
awful, boring
Blech.
series in Anaheim. Mets
Ugh.
lose an inexcusable series to the
Ugh.
Angels. We're going to talk about it. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe we'll rant. Maybe I'll rant. Maybe I'll wake up in like 5 minutes and give you guys a good rant. Who knows? Maybe as we talk more, I'll get angry. But you guys know the drill. Make sure if you're watching us on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. We do appreciate you guys over there. If you like what you're listening to, watching, drop us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Mets'd. And if you are listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. We got a lot of reviews to shout out in today's episode. Can't forget that.
Tell so many. That was a horrible intro, dude.
So bad.
It was terrible.
I'm matching the Mets energy. Like this series against the Angels was just so like
Ugh.
it felt going through the motions, and not like in a negative way. Like I think people are pissed at the Mets more than they should be. I think from a standpoint of like wins and losses, yes, bad, inexcusable. This Angels team is horrendous. But I think like people were like, this team's dogging it. They're back to their old ways. We didn't buy enough. We didn't do this. We should have sold our start. Like I feel like there's too much noise over like in a vacuum, lost a bad series. Overall, doesn't really change how I feel about the season whatsoever. And I think that's kind of how I just feel about what happened was this sucks. Let's forget it and move on almost.
Yeah, it's so weird too to have these massive road trips this entire month of August. The fact the Mets are going to California twice in August sucks. The fact that we have this just weird West Coast America thing happening right now too, and it's just I don't know. Like this is the first series they lost since June 30th. I can't even remember the last time the Mets lost back-to-back one-run games, and one-run games are kind of just fucking fluky anyway. It felt like all three of these games they could have won, or all three of these games they kind of could have lost as well. So you come out with only one of them, that kind of sucks. But it just kept feeling like the Mets were going to find their way to get a big hit on both Saturday and Sunday, and it just never did. Like, even when Brazoban gives up that home run to Neto, it's just like, all right, seventh inning, this has been kind of a wild back and forth game. Like, something else is going to happen. There's no way this game ends this exact score. And that game did end with that exact score. Same thing on Sunday, where it's like, all right, chip away, men on base. Just no one. This felt like this was the first time in the last couple of months no one was able to get a big hit, and that was frustrating.
Yeah, they couldn't catch a break. Like, even Lindor.
They caught some breaks. The Angels made a bunch of errors.
I know, but
horrible.
I'm saying from a standpoint of, like, Lindor hit that foul ball home run today. Like, that one was like, like, annoying. We got the grand slam last night, or the 2 nights ago from JD on Saturday, and then Huascar Brazoban simply just gave it right back. Like,
I have a trivia question for you.
Ooh, hit me. All right.
They said on the broadcast today, but I know that you were in now because you were at the Yankee game. JD Martinez hit that grand slam on Saturday. It's second grand slam of the season. Okay. Do you remember the last Met that hit 2 grand slams in one season?
I'm going to go Scott Hairston.
No, but you're in the right idea. You're in the right...
Marlon Byrd.
You're in the right phase of years right there.
Marlon Anderson.
No, you're circling it. You're close.
Jason Bay.
No, come on. Jason Bay, here's a fun one too. I got from the Pirates broadcast today.
Wow,
before I answer this trivia question. He's the only Pirate to ever win Rookie of the Year. And which is weird because Ralph Kiner should have won. I think it was 46, but they didn't even start the Rookie of the Year until Jackie Robinson, his rookie year.
Whoa.
That was the first ever Rookie of the Year.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
I didn't know it either. But
fun fact, shout out the Pirates broadcast.
Fucking love the Pirates broadcast. I've been watching so many Pirates games lately. I gotta get back to the Mets. We'll talk about it later.
Okay. I was in the right. What's the position?
Outfield. With the Mets, outfield, yeah.
From that time period, right?
Yeah.
Gary Sheffield.
I'll tell you the year, 2009.
2009.
And this guy's also famous for grand slams.
Famous for grand slams?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Robin Ventura is like the famous guy for grand slams.
This guy's probably has
Fernando Tatis?
Yes, nailed it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, famous for grand slams. Most notable grand slams ever. But crazy that JD Martinez is the first Met to have 2 grand slams a season, 15 full calendar years.
Especially with a guy named Pete Alonso who's been hitting 40 home runs a year. Like, he hasn't hit 2 grand slams in one season.
He gets too nervous when the bases are loaded. He's not going to hit many grand slams. He's a little scared. He's like, I got to do everything well right now. But even Pete actually had a good series. He finally looks like he's swinging the bat well. People are still being critical of him, but it's very clear, I think, that he has turned the page. Same with Brandon Nimmo. He had 3 hits in game 1. He was on base a few more times, games 2 and 3. Lindor's back to being fine. He should have had another extra base in the series, but Kevin Pillar made the catch of the fucking year on Saturday. I will never had nothing but love for Kevin Pillar the rest of my life, but don't like to see him doing that against the Mets. It's just such a grown series because everything was kind of close. It just felt like there wasn't a lot of energy. There weren't really good vibes. Like there was no fucking galvanizing like moment. Like I think the Mets now are in a spot in the season where we might just need another thing.
Yeah.
Like Grimace is faded. Pride Month is over. That dog was fun for a little while.
Iggy?
Like Yeah, we need something stupid to happen again. We need to find some kind of dumb mascot. Something the OMG is faded to. We need to find something to rally around because this month is going to be long.
Yeah.
We have two separate trips again to California. This one is fine. This is a good warm up road trip. The next road trip the Mets have, it's 4 in San Diego, 3 in Arizona.
Those
That
are
road trip
huge.
will literally dictate if we make the playoffs or not, almost entirely.
Probably.
Truthfully. And so it's like this is a moment where we have these games now, then we have some easy ones at home, series against the Orioles, and then head out to a road trip that will define the season. So it's just they need to find a spark. And again, I'm not saying this is like, oh my God, sound the alarms, disaster for
Yeah,
the
no,
Mets.
of
But saying
course not.
they need, I don't know. It just seems like they need to like get spun around a little bit, like get some energy back.
I hate that. I feel like we're back with the Mets here. We're like, there's this
I don't fucking
everyone in the
know.
world is like mad at the Mets right now, and me and you
I'm
are
not
just
that
like,
mad,
yeah,
but
I'm
it's like
not mad.
authentic.
I'm disappointed.
For
There it
sure,
is.
yeah. There's like I don't know. At least this is like there's some real authenticity behind this. Like yeah, like this is kind of annoying. Like I thought Mendoza also said a lot of cool things about like having a road trip this late in the season. He's like really good chance for all of us
Oh
to get to
yeah.
know each other. Ronnie also made a comment on Friday that he was around the team when they're doing some cage work their first day in Anaheim, and he was like all business. I don't remember a Mets team like this. Everyone was focused on hitting, and all they were talking about in between their reps were just hitting. So it all just feels good. And it's just the fact that the fucking Padres and Diamondbacks had to get smoking hot. That's the real problem.
Yeah.
Those two teams are 8-2 in their last 10. We're 5-5, and now we've dropped out of the wild card spot. If the Mets had lost the series, but they still have a playoff spot on August 4th,
People
August
wouldn't
5th, when
care.
you guys listen to it, people wouldn't give a shit. But like that screenshot of the standings, that makes people nervous. That kills the vibe a little bit. And honestly, maybe you kind of should. It's true.
I think what's weird about what happened with this team is just the fact that like they just kind of lost. Like there
Yeah.
wasn't like anything in
Can't
particular.
point.
Yeah, where you're like, this was a fuck up. This is what caused it. This is it. It was just like, oh, we just lost baseball games because we didn't play better than the Angels, and that part is frustrating. But also, at the same time, I have a hard time getting as upset maybe as other people right now because think of some of the bullshit games that we've won like
Yeah, it's
throughout this
nonsense.
year,
It's
and
baseball.
think about where we were 2 months ago, even like the fact that this series happened sucked. I'm not going to scream and yell. I think we've confirmed that we're just not happy with how it went, but we're not like mad. I look forward, look past it. Got a big game against the Cardinals like on Monday. Like that game's
Huge game.
huge, and then we're in
Playoff game.
Colorado and like beat the piss out of the Rockies. Please, like take advantage of it. It just this weekend. Maybe I'll say this. Maybe this was a little bit of looking past the Angels a little bit by the team. Maybe that's the only thing
Yeah.
that could have happened is you have this big game against the Cardinals that you probably were like, this is
It's a chaos
huge.
game.
This is a chaos game. This is a big one. Then we go to Colorado. Maybe just to look past the Angels a little bit more than you should have. I mean, they stink. They're really bad. They didn't play good
Horrible.
baseball. They made
Bad baseball.
3 errors in every single game. I think it's shocking
So
how
bad.
they make some of the most bizarre errors I've ever seen. Nolan Shanuel dropped the ball on a throw, which was crazy. And Zach Neto made some horrible
booted
throws
one.
and botched a couple ground balls. Like weird stuff was happening. They just couldn't capitalize. And then, of course, the Angels pitching, which has been dog shit all year, just lights out bullpen all of a sudden.
There's also so many moments where we just missed pitches. Like there was the at bat for Pete with 2 men on. I think it was the 6th inning on Sunday where first pitch he jumped on it from I think it was still Griffin Canning. Like right after Ron Washington came out to like talk to him, be like, hey, he was just floating some breaking balls like by guys' heads. And it was pitched down the middle. Pete just missed it. He knew he missed it. He almost did the break bat in his knee thing, and then like while he
I
was
wish
running
he
to
would.
first base. But I'm saying like I don't know. Maybe the off day kind of psyched them all out, got them out of their zone. Also, I think we might have very different timelines because I didn't see people really being that mad at all.
Really? I
I
did.
don't think the Mets electorate is that mad. I think the Mets electorate, similar to us, is like kind of sullen and disappointed because like it's just a team that sucks. And maybe we just got too used to winning these series. We haven't lost a series
Possible.
in 5 weeks. Like
Yeah.
it's been a long time since the Astros won the end of June. So it's just it's strange, especially after even before the Astros won. I think we'd won or tied like 7 or 8 series before that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only the second series the Mets have lost basically since June began.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. So it's just you're going to lose some games you're supposed to win. You're going to win some games you're supposed to lose. But you did feel like there was a chance to have a moment towards the end of the game, especially on Sunday, where you can kind of lock yourselves in and be like, all right, the good vibes are still here. We are a playoff team. Like, let's do the things that we do, but just didn't materialize.
And again, I think you did say it perfectly. The fact that the Mets technically dropped out of the playoffs this weekend was probably the biggest determining factor as to why people may be feeling frustrated and upset, even though we know there is still so much baseball left. And being
Too
in the
much.
wild card today doesn't mean anything. Like it might
Nothing.
feel better than it does right now, but all I simply care about is being in the wild card at the end of the year. making the playoffs. If that means that we're not in the wild card on August 4th, but we're there at the end of the year, I simply don't care.
This is the second series the Mets have lost since June began.
Wow.
May
I mean,
no, actually
it's a great
no,
stretch.
no, actually incorrect. That was the split with the Diamondbacks, 4-game split. So the last series the Mets lost were the Astros. You know, the second to last series the Mets lost was
I don't.
Jorge Lopez,
Oh.
Dodgers. That was second to last series the Mets lost.
Oh my God.
So again, just thinking about, oh yeah, that was it. Every other one's been a split or a win. So just thinking about that for a second, putting into perspective how good these last 2 months have been. Not getting complacent,
Yes.
not saying this is okay because we are not in the playoffs right now, and the Diamondbacks are on a fucking heather and they're good.
Hot.
The Padres are on a heather and they're fucking good. It's good. It's going to take a lot to make the playoffs. Because now we've kind of the Water and the Oil are kind of starting to separate a little bit in the National League. The Pirates and the Cardinals aren't playing as well. We're not really playing as well, and those other three teams, including the Braves, Padres, Diamondbacks, are all playing very well. So it's gonna be a dogfight. I mean, the Braves also just lost 2 games in a row to the Marlins. Like I don't think
True.
their fans are jumping off buildings like you say some Mets fans are. But I still don't believe you that much.
I feel like I'm getting DMs and messages from people being like, "You're gonna yell today?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not gonna be yelling. Like I'm
Nothing to
just
yell about. Like the only thing
yeah,
that was really fucked was the Brazoban pitch to Neto. It was just a long at bat. Brazoban just hung a cutter down the middle, and Neto just hit it out. It was
yeah."
just a pretty decent hitter, and people were turning on Brazoban already.
Which is
I
funny. Also,
yeah.
we talked about this last night at our favorite bar of ours. Do I mention the name or do we keep that a secret?
JD's.
JD's. You guys know if you know it, you know it. If you don't, good. We get free drinks. Shout out Eamon. We were talking about this at JD's. We were like, Mets fans with Huascar Brazoban, like this is just a dude who's a pitcher. And I think the fact that
Yeah.
like he was traded for makes people think that like he's supposed to be like this great reliever and he's going to be getting these big outs down the stretch and this and that. He's 34 years old. He's a free player. We gave up a nothing minor league prospect for him. He could be cut in 2 weeks and you wouldn't even flinch. He might be
No.
able to be sent down.
Yeah, he actually has option. I think
Yeah.
that was the main
So like
reason we did trade for him.
and I think that's sometimes where maybe as content people, like whatever, we all have to do a better job of like, hey, like Huascar Brazoban isn't the fix. Like he's just another reliever. Don't expect him to be 2015 Jerry's Familia.
Okay, but on the flip side of that, his first appearance with the team, the Mets did use him in a medium to high leverage spot.
No, for sure. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that like they're not going to use him in that, but I think at the same time that's more of a product of what this bullpen is, which is very fluid, which is something that we do like. That all these guys, I mean, Phil Maton's getting the biggest outs right now for this
Looks
entire
great.
team.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, he looks fantastic. So I think you're going to ride the hot hand. You're going to go with who's good, who's not at the time, whatever. Overall, I think we all got to take a little step back from Huascar Brazoban from what it was, especially because most people didn't even know he was 34 when the Mets traded for him. They had no clue.
Yeah, I think it's also a function of maybe Carlos Mendoza learning how to also use Huascar Brazoban, like not like in leverage, but that when he gave up that home run Neto, I think it was his 36th pitch of the outing.
Yeah.
And the Angels had nickel and dimed him for a few hits, and there were some long at bats. Brazoban's thing, he doesn't really have. I want to say he doesn't have a put away pitch because he is a good pitcher. He does strike a lot of guys out, but it's not. It's like the cutter's the primary, and then he uses the changeup. But he can't use changeup really against everybody, so he winds up using a lot of sinkers and four seamers. He's just not. He gets strikeouts kind of just by mixing all of his pitches, not really like, oh, here is my devastating
Not a
pitch
big
that I have.
chase.
Yeah, not a big chase guy. So it becomes a situation where if the ball is being put in play that much, I don't know. Like maybe then it's even. I know like you don't want to take out a righty for a righty, putting another righty, but in that situation, it felt like that wasn't the best at bat for Brazoban either. And also, I don't think he's thrown multiple innings that much. I think he does it sometimes.
He used to do it when he first was with the Marlins. I don't know what he's done this year.
He's done a few this year, less in the last few weeks, but much more so earlier in the season. So I guess something he has. But again, 36 pitches. Remember, we've talked about pitch decay with Lance Brazowski a lot. So he kept throwing a lot of colors in that bat, and his command wasn't the sharpest either, and he just left one right over the middle. And
also he's going to give up hits. He's going to give up runs. 100%, it's going to happen.
Yeah, he's not a lights out shutdown reliever. He's having a very good season, but he's not like Huascar Brazoban isn't like this saved our bullpen. He was like, oh, this is one of the pieces to how we remade our bullpen. Like,
he's not. We didn't trade for Jason Adam, where you'd be like, this guy needs to be getting these massive outs. This is what
Tanner Scott. Yeah. He's just pitching in these spots because we don't really have many options pitching those spots right now. But if this was a very good bullpen, he wouldn't be getting the big 7th inning outs in a close game.
Correct, and he's got control, and he's cheap. It was like a
Yes.
no-brainer for David Stearns to make. Oh, free reliever. Got him. Take him all
Yeah,
day.
it was more of like a transaction than it was like a big trade. If you can
Yes.
like see what I'm saying by the difference between those things. I don't know. It's just, and again, like, okay, sure, he gives up a 3-run home run. You still had 3 innings to beat, 2 innings
Correct.
to score on the Angels.
On the
And then
Angels bull,
well,
which
Ben Joyce looked amazing. Can't
looks
say anything
disgusting.
about
It
that.
feels like they might have the lights might have got off in their head of, "Oh my god, the guy who throws 105 is our best reliever? Who saw
Yeah.
that coming?"
Seeing a 105-mile-an-hour pitch was it was just insane. I couldn't really believe my eyes.
JD
People,
was even shocked. He was like, "Holy
eh,
shit."
no, it was cool. But like, it's just like I don't know. Like I'm still not gonna scream and get mad about
No.
this because it was just like this was so fluky. If one more ball finds a hole, like we win this series and none of these conversations are happening and all this stuff is just nonsense. Also, like I don't think any of our starting pitchers look that sharp. I mean, Paul Blackburn looked really good. I'll break
He
down
did look
Blackburn
good.
for Friday night, but Peterson just had another classic Peterson. Like this was he got to the 6 innings, but like, I don't know. It wasn't. It didn't feel like definitely pitched well enough to win the game, but I wasn't
Nothing was
like yeah.
sharp.
Dave Peterson's locked in right now. Same with Quintana on Sunday. Quintana he had no feel for the changeup. He still threw a lot of curveballs, but it wasn't as sharp as it has been in recent outings. It was just this whole series was just fucking blah. It was so blah. Like just so hard to like figure out good things to tell you guys about it.
You know what else was blah?
What?
Yeah, I miss Gary. I miss Gary so much.
I'm scared so much.
They can't let him take days off anymore. Like, Gary, I'm sorry. I understand you're working hard. You want to spend time with the family. Can you you have all off season to take days off. I can't listen to Steve Gelbs do play by play. I can't do it anymore.
No, we take some shots at Old Moonface on this podcast, but Gelbs was very bad in play by play. It
And
was
again,
alarmingly bad.
I'll say this. Hard to it would
So
be
hard.
hard for anybody to
So
fill in for
hard.
Gary Cohen. I remember Gary Thorne filled in a couple years ago. Remember when Gary took a break?
Yeah.
And Gary Thorne's awesome. And people did not like his commentary because it wasn't Gary.
I like Thorne.
Yeah, I like Gary Thorne too. He's awesome. He's
I
great.
thought it was good.
Met guy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard shoes to fill in. And especially when you're not particularly good at it, it's really hard shoes to fill in because he was taking some pages out of Michael Kay's playbook of minutes of silence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. This play just happened. Let me tell. Like Pete Alonso got hit by a pitch, I think, at one point. Or yeah, did he get hit by a pitch today? Something
Maybe.
happened to Pete. 2 pitches happened. The result went, and he goes, that's a walk. I'm like, dude, were you awake? Were you asleep? Like that's the part that bothered me. Play by play is tough. I'm not gonna pretend like I can do a better job, but it was a hard listen. I'm lucky that Friday night what did I do Friday night that I didn't?
You hung out with Ernie.
Yeah, I was with Ernie at Murphy's Bar in Astoria. Shout out to Murphy's Bar if anybody goes there. And they didn't have the game sound on, so that was great. Didn't listen to it. Saturday, we did steak dinner and we went to JD's and then we went out. Didn't listen to any of the commentary. Sunday, I came home from the Yankee game and I caught like the last 4 or 5 innings of the game. And that's the first time I heard his commentary. And I was like, oh, I can't listen to this anymore. This is putting me to sleep.
No, it was bad. I locked in for the game on Friday, and I didn't know it was Gelb, so it was just a bad thing to be surprised about. And he in a matter of moments, he mispronounced Nolan Shanuel's name, which he did the entire series. He didn't get his name right once the whole time.
The only thing I'll say is tough, but also if you're prepared, you would know how to say it.
Totally. And then he brought up Joe Biden, of all people in the world.
Crazy.
He made a dry joke about Joe Biden. Ron was like, ha. Ha ha ha!
Cool, man. We're talking politics. Nice.
Yeah, nice, cool. And then he brought and the one thing that really bothered me about Gelbs in this series. This would be the end of our Bash Gelbs segment here.
Yeah, we don't want to go too long.
These were a lot of close games, and he kept finding ways to not talk about the Mets.
Dude, in the game today on Sunday, in the 3 innings that I listened to, it was like the 8th inning. It's a 1-run ball game.
Talk about Zach Wheeler. You talked about the Yankees.
He's doing around the league. He's like, oh, the Yankees, the rain delay is back.
The 1-run game in the 8th
Jr.'s
inning. He's
got the hit streak going. I'm like, dude, please fucking talk about the game. That, and every time they showed Ben Joyce, he was like, Ben Joyce in the bullpen. Like, it was just like, it's almost like, it was like word diarrhea in a way. Like, he would see things and he's like, say what I see.
I think that was the SNY people helping him a little bit by flashing things on the screen. Then he would talk because he's not. I mean, play by play is hard. And it doesn't seem like that is where Gelbs's tutelage has come in because he's a reporter. He's not. Yes. He wasn't brought up as a broadcaster. So it's interesting that SNY is trying to shoehorn him in here with this because also he's been working with Ron Darling for a decade, and it seemed like these two had never met in their lives by the lack of chemistry they had. And we know Ronnie's great. Ron goes on national broadcast and he gets along well with all these other play-by-play guys. But Steve Gelbs was talking about the Jets on Friday night, in the 3-run game. Where I was like, "What are you talking about, dude?" He's like, and then he's like, "Ronnie, who's your football team?" He's like, we're doing this game right now. He kind of made a comment about it. Let's talk about baseball right now. So just I don't know. I think it seems like he's being groomed for that spot, which sucks. But
which is
I don't
yeah,
know.
it's terrible
He
news.
he seems like the kind of guy who just really needs to get a lot of reps in to get a lot better at this. He needs to
And I'd
go like
love for
down to
those
the
reps to not come on Mets games.
yeah, like he needs to go to the Winter League. He needs to do the Mexican League. He needs to do
Syracuse
the
Mets.
Venezuelan League. The Dominican League, Syracuse Mets, Binghamton. But he spends all his free time doing Jet stuff, and
Jets and
we know he's
Rangers.
not. And it's like it's a shame too. I mentioned the Pirates broadcast before. I just happen to be watching a lot of Pirates games. I get assigned a lot of
Electric
East
team.
East Coast games for Roto World, but then it's also they're just fun. And something I love so much about the Pirates broadcast it's always so true of the Mets broadcast. I think it's something that used to be very true of all baseball announcers, but it's not true anymore. These guys fucking love the team. These are huge fans. Like these Pirates guys are screaming at the top of their lungs when runs are being scored.
Yeah.
Like Gary Cohen is throwing pens on the ground. They're like high fiving up there. They're jacked up.
They'll
And
go.
we know,
They'll be like, "Go, get out!"
yeah, like go go go, Gary! Like G1 Bay had a ball today, and the guy was like, "Go go!" It was great. And I listen to Gelbs, and we know he's not a Mets fan, so it's just like it doesn't seem like he has the same kind of juice that we're
No,
used to. And it's a lot of it is because we are blessed. We have the best announcers,
literally.
basically in sports, who do these games every night, and a lot of that does come back to Gary Cohen, night after night, day after day, year after year. He is there. He loves the Mets. He's incredibly knowledgeable, and he's incredibly cerebral. Like he doesn't talk about the game in ways that are still interesting and brings it back to the game. He does like
Yes.
it's very I don't want to compare these two guys, but it's just this is the greatest announcer ever, and I think Gary does something similar to him where it's very Vince Scully-ish, where he can keep the game in your focus while having a completely different conversation.
Well,
And that to me is so hard to do and so impressive. And I think Gelb was trying to do that, but he's nowhere near this kind of talent or experience.
what Gary's great at is he's a radio guy. So he
Yeah,
talks.
true. He's illustrating.
He's
Yes.
illustrating. He's painting a picture of what's happening, just in case you aren't watching. If you're just listening to him on the TV, as well as like the dead times, he's able to fill that with like useful information that does connect to what's actually happening. Like
Yeah.
if they showed Ben Joyce, he'd be like Ben Joyce, 105, like telling you things about him. He's a big boy. Look at those
Fastest
shoulders,
pitch ever in Division I college baseball.
Yes, he'd be dropping stuff like that, not just being like flash Ben Joyce. Hey, there's Ben Joyce, and then like
Maybe he'll
flashback to like,
pitch.
yeah, flashback to like home plate. It's like, oh, I missed the pitch. That was a strike. Like Gelbs was very much just like saying what he saw rather than like
narration.
commentating. Yeah, narrating. And Gary narrates. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, again, but that's the end of the Bash
That's the
Gelbs,
end.
but it was really bad. It was
hard,
really, really,
hard to
really,
listen.
really bad.
And Monday's going to be rough because he's probably going to be by himself.
Yeah, well, this was a funny story that came out of it. So there was a horrible rainstorm in New York today. It delayed the Yankee game like 3 hours in the middle of the eighth inning.
Yeah.
With a tie game. So Keith's flight got canceled. I think Laura Albanese did too. Newsday reporter. And Keith got his new flight. He's not landing in St. Louis till 2:15. And the game's at 4:00 local time. So if he misses the game, that's just it. But which is funny. But I don't know. Hopefully Gelbs is not alone for that, because then I will just listen to the radio. I will listen to the radio. It'll
Back
be
to baseball. I got something to talk about.
Yeah.
I think Jeff McNeil's back.
I think he's back too. Another really good series. He's hitting the ball harder than I feel like he has in a while. He was off on Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, multiple hard hit balls in each game. Hit a double. He almost hit a double on Saturday, but he tried to stretch it. And he was not close. He was close to being safe, but also not close at the same time. He looks really good.
For you.
Yeah.
Jeff McNeil's last 30 games. What's he hitting? Batting average.
309.
292.
Okay.
That's a really good 30-game stretch for a guy who was way below league average. 562 slugging in that 30-game stretch. 5 homers, 17 RBIs, 26 hits, 26 for 89. Like if that's the Jeff McNeil we're going to get the rest of the year, that's awesome. That's huge.
Fantastic. Another thing I want to talk about too, new acquisition, Paul Blackburn.
Yes.
Had an awesome first start with the team. I hope everybody had their 3 beers on a Friday night during Paul Blackburn's quality start. And something else really, really, really cool that Paul Blackburn did, totally reworked his pitch mix and what he was doing from when he was with the A's. This is something that I think a lot of people, I know Jared Seidler, the Baseball Prospectus prospect guy, Mets fan, he foretold the second the trade happened. He was like, Paul Blackburn's just not going to throw fastballs anymore with the Mets. That was exactly what happened. Paul Blackburn went all cutters and changeups, and he was throwing a tick harder. Could have just been the adrenaline.
Yeah.
But all cutters and changeups, both those pitches missed a lot of bats. I want to get the exact whiffs here now. 3 swings and misses on the cutter, 6 swings and misses on the changeup, which is really nice to see.
Changeup looked really good.
Yeah, he was in the zone a lot. He wasn't getting that many chases, but he was throwing a pitch to the zone a lot, so didn't have to. And he had a little lead, and he just kind of looked very comfortable, very cohesive, very solid all-around game by Paul Blackburn. Left the game with 82 pitches in 6 innings, which was definitely because I don't think they wanted to see lineup again over and over again. And then Budo came in for the 2 innings and closed it down. But really nice that there were some tangible changes to what Paul Blackburn did. Really nice that he took care of a Bad Angels lineup, and something. There's something just to be a little nice and secure in moving forward. That he's a really good back end starter.
Yeah, and you see how happy he was when they turned the Lindor and Jose Iglesias turned two of the
Yeah,
nicest double plays I've seen in a really long time. Lindor had a great
crispy
defensive series just in general,
and
but they
base
turned
running.
those two double plays, and Paul Blackburn smile was ear to ear on his face because again we talked about it. The A's defense behind him has always been dog shit terrible. Like it's been
Yeah.
so bad.
Hmm.
So he was probably like, I didn't just get one out on that ball. I got two. They got
Yeah.
two outs for me. Holy shit! I love this team. I love it here.
It seems like a real fundamental part of the trade deadline. So all these guys have left these bad teams: Eloy Jimenez, Blackburn, Tanner Scott, Brian De La Cruz, and they're going to their new teams and being like, "I'm feeling myself
Jazz
now. I'm ready."
Chisholm.
Jazz. I'm ready to play some fucking baseball for the first
Yeah.
time. And Blackburn is never. He's never. I mean, I guess when he was young, so he was still in those A's teams. They were still pretty good, but
Yes.
it's been a while since he's been on like a actual competent baseball team.
A team that's actively attempting to win.
Yeah, a team that's trying to win baseball games. And again, just also mention Budo. Budo's still a bullpen ace. I thought it was cool that Mendoza only threw him for the 2 innings. And he said that after the game. He's like, if I throw him for the 3 innings, that's an extra day he has to have off. And he's too important of a piece right now. We don't have an off day next week. So I need to make sure he's ready for Monday, basically, if we need him. What?
Jeff McNeil's brother was in the minor leagues. He had a
Did
brother in the minor leagues. How's this never been talked about before?
How'd you even just find that just now?
Because I was on his MLB.com page when I wanted to get his active, like his updated stats, because Savant and all those take a little bit longer. And then
Yeah.
it said brother of Ryan McNeil. And I
It's kind of
clicked it.
funny.
Guy was pitching in the minors in 2018.
Mm,
That's kind of crazy. Looks like he was in the, I don't know what organization it is, Cubs maybe?
that's kind of crazy. But digress. Just again, this series sucked.
Stunk.
But it wasn't even just like it's not even like they played poorly. They just lost some shit games. Like
Yeah. Well, they
it was
did play
just
poorly, but yeah.
they played kind of bad. They didn't really play that bad. Like if they played these exact same 3 games 1,000 more times, they might sweep the series. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, like every simulation of this series, if they play these exact games over and over again, they might win 2, they might win 3. Like it's not like they got outplayed or they did like shit.
Fair.
It was just a bleh. It was
One thing I do want to talk about, Alvarez at the plate, got to move closer. It
yes.
is it is
I
is
forgot
becoming a
the
problem now
stats.
with how far away he is standing from the plate. Just again, you're going to give me the stats here. Visually, like me watching, the pitch is down the middle in a way. He's casting his hands out, he's fishing, he just can't get to them. And I don't know what the thought process is behind him standing so far away. I'm hoping the Mets are also seeing it because I hate it. I don't like how far away he is from the plate. It seems like he's now forcing himself to swing at inside pitches and balls rather than swinging at strikes.
Ron mentioned that they have talked to him about it, and he said that's where he feels comfortable because he really likes to get his power from those pitches middle in. And Alvarez has done great on those pitches middle in. Like this year, if you look at his baseball savant, if you go on players tab where it says zones,
Yeah.
you can see all of their stats aligned by where the pitch is in the strike zone. It's really, really cool thing. And Alvarez has been amazing this year, much better than he was last year on those pitches up and in. We talked about that was a problem zone for him in an offseason episode with Alvarez. But with that, he has sacrificed a lot on pitches low and away. And now that he sacrificed that, pitchers are really, really keying in on that spot. And he's not really responding to it. He's seen more than twice as many pitches low and away and outside the zone than he has in any other piece of the strike zone or any
Wow.
other piece outside the strike zone all year. More than 2 times as many, double as much.
Yeah, I mean, if you were on the mound and you saw where he was saying, like he physically cannot touch that pitch, and it is a strike. It's not like I'm throwing balls. He's
Mm-hmm.
making it an impossible pitch to hit. So that's why it doesn't make sense to me. Why is he's cheating for the inside pitches, some of which that are balls, but giving up pitches that like are called strikes that he can't hit. They're unhittable.
And even with being called strikes, he's swinging and missing on the low and outside little corner of the plate at 54% of the time, and low outside out of the plate 74% of the
Yeah,
time.
it's physically impossible. He
And
cannot touch the ball there.
I have a lot of very more bad stats, but what's going on with Alvarez in the outside part of the zone? His average exit velocity on those pitches, low and outside, 64 miles an hour.
It's the
It's
end of the
shocking.
bat.
And Francisco Alvarez doesn't have one barrel this season on any pitch outside or low in the strike zone. Every
Ooh,
single one of his
no
barrels is up.
low.
Every single one of his barrels either up and in, down the middle, and then he has a few barrels high and above the strike zone. That's it though.
Interesting.
He has a 0% hard hit rate on pitches low and outside the zone, and an 11% hard hit rate for low and outside in the strike zone.
Do we think there's anything more to that shoulder injury? Maybe that
I said that a week ago, and you told me no.
I thought no because he was playing, but like I don't think the shoulder injury has to do with where he's setting up. I'm saying does the shoulder injury have to do with why he's not hitting the ball as well? I don't think that has anything to do with where he is in the plate.
Again, just for me, the fact that he's being pitched there so much, there has to be an adjustment. I don't know where it is or when it comes. If he's already been like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, which is weird because that doesn't feel like an Alvarez thing to be like, no, not making a change.
No, definitely. I mean, it was Ron. It was a secondhand story, so we'll
True.
see how this comes out. I wonder if everyone's asked Mendoza about this. I'm sure they have. I'm sure we'll get some articles about it. But just all the Mets reporters are doing crazy work right now. The fact that they have to go to this one game in St. Louis, I really can't believe that this is happening. It's almost hilariously shocking that we're going to do this on Monday. But definitely some troubling things with Alvarez right now, and the fact that that zone has been such an issue for him, and not even just that zone, everything outside and everything low, he's had no power on that. He can't get to them. It's an issue.
Can I read texts from my Uncle George?
Yes, please.
This is good. This is how we'll lead into media marvels here. Uncle
Mm-hmm.
George, legend. If we could get this guy on Twitter, I mean, he'd be the next big thing. He's a legend. Good Greek guy, thick accent, great mustache. He said, Mutt's manager is a moron. He obviously is horrible managing a tight game, trailing 3-2 with men on first and third and one out. Ooh, makes a good point here. This was weird. I do want to talk about this.
Okay.
Trailing 3-2 with men on first and third and one out in the seventh inning, and he did not try to steal second to see if they can tie the game. Then Vientos hit into the double play. I
Wait,
did think,
that's not true. He did steal second, and a pitch was fouled off.
I know, but it was weird that they didn't try to do it again.
Yeah, I
I
don't
thought it
know.
was weird to pinch run for Jesse Winker, who I don't think is much slower than Tyrone Taylor, and
I think
then
he is.
not
I think he's
be,
much slower.
and I think not be as aggressive though on the base path. So like I feel like you have to be aggressive there if you're making that move, pinch running the guy behind the tying run.
No, that was the. Oh yeah, that was the go ahead run.
Yeah, the go ahead run. Yeah,
Okay, so not the guy behind Tyler. Tyrone Taylor is
Well,
in
he was.
90th percentile sprint speed, and Jesse Winker's in 20th percentile.
He's
sprint speed.
90th.
Yes, 90th. Fast guy.
Whoa, I did not
Yeah.
know he was that fast. Okay,
Great
my
athlete.
apologies. My apologies.
But I pushed back on that. People were talking about that on Twitter as well. He did try to steal. Ball got fouled off.
But he only tried to steal once, and it was late in the count. Like, what was going on the rest of the count? Like, why
He
were
might
they not
ju-
being
he,
aggressive?
I don't know. He might not just been able to pick him up. The fact that the stolen base
don't
was
know.
attempted, I think that can come back to the
But
base
then they
runner
didn't do it
rather than the
again.
manager. I think the next play was a double play.
Something. Yeah, but run again. You can run.
I do think it was weird that there wasn't an attempt to steal until later in the at bat, but I think again that to me means the steal was on and it was up to Tyrone Taylor.
I
That
guess.
to
I
me,
don't know. He's got to be
that
better though. There, whatever. It
True,
is.
no, he does. He has to be
Yeah.
better. But I think that comes back to the player more than the manager.
Fair. I could get behind you
if the
saying
steal
that.
if the steal was on
Yes.
in the at bat and the steal wasn't attempted, I think it was the fourth or fifth or sixth pitch of the at bat. Vientos just missed a pitch right down the middle when that happened. But that to me says it was on the player, not the manager.
I can get behind that reasoning. The manager might have put it on. He's got more though, Uncle George.
Of course he does.
His most stupid move was also in the seventh when Bader singled and Alonso advanced to third. He should have replaced Alonso for a pinch runner so they can attempt a double steal. Instead, the jerk off removed Bader for a pinch runner. What a fucking stupid loser.
That's not true either.
Typical fucking mutts. Even the managers they hire are fucking bottom feeders. There's more. Shall I keep going?
Yeah, I don't think any of those things are true, but keep going.
Yeah, of course they're not. They're truly the cream of the crap. Notice I said cream of the crap, not cream of the crop. Evening, folks. Fuck the mutts. My dad comes in with like the offense is garbage, but like, relax. And then he just continues. Yes, the offense is anemic. So knowing that a good manager will make adjustments, he did nothing. He should have replaced Alonso with a fast runner and tried the double steal. You don't need much imagination to try something like that. And then he said, oh, I get it. Mendoza does not want to be predictable. That is why he did not make these changes. The dumb fuck. Man, what the fuck? And an idiot can become a manager these days.
That's crazy.
I'm like,
Bader was never taken out for pinch running. He made the last out of the game.
Fair. And I was just like, I think he probably meant Winker maybe. But
he definitely meant Winker, which is true.
He also did get taken out of the game too, though.
Winker did.
For a pinch runner, yeah. But that's my Uncle George. Love Uncle George. But these are the takes. He also he's a huge fan of only batting average. He was fighting me right before the All-Star game. He was like, Nimmo and Lindor, terrible seasons, down this year. I can't believe they're playing this poorly. I'm like, they're playing the best baseball of their career.
By far. Francisco Lindor is going to have an outside chance for a 7-win season.
I said, next time I see you, Uncle George, we're going to sit down and explain to you why they're having good seasons. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, that's annoying. Also, just similar people to Uncle George, these are the same people that all throughout the year were always posting the screenshots of how good Colin Holderman was pitching. Colin Holderman blew 2 games this weekend for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
So one?
2 games. Friday and Sunday blew 2 games. So haven't seen those screenshots recently. So wondering how everyone check in your favorite Colin Holderman fan, because for some reason they weren't doing that again. We're watching a lot of Pirates baseball.
Yeah, you've been watching a lot of Pirates ball.
I fucking love the Pirates too.
Pittsburgh's a city for you.
Yeah, I want to go to a game out there. I'm so into this team right now.
GNC's
It's a shame the Mets are directly competing with them, because that's an issue for me. Mets over Pirates always, of course. But
always.
Let's do a little media marvel. We had
something.
A funny story that happened in the baseball world this weekend. If you guys are active on Twitter, it might have made it to your timeline just because it went around so hard. So there's this account, Boston Sports Enjoyer, just like a classic Boston douchebag, as much as it ever gets. Basically, every Boston sports fan who's under the age of 43 is probably one of the worst people you ever know because they've been blessed with too much winning in their lives. It's not no
McGillicuddy.
Yeah, no human being should ever be exposed to this much success. It doesn't breed you as a good person. You won't be a humble, nice person. You don't want to get a drink with someone who wins all the time. That
You'll
person's
be
an asshole.
you're like a Yankees fan. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like if the Yankees fans won in the last 20 years. That's
Yes. Well,
if
you're a '90s Yankees fan.
Yeah, they're like if the Yankees fans, if everything in their head was actually true in the world. That's what it's
Yankees,
like.
Lakers. Who would be the football team of that time that was hot?
Yankees, the
Yankees,
Patriots.
Lakers, Patriots. Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's what you'd be like.
totally, exactly. So he had a tweet from 2023 that said, "I will deactivate my account if anyone can show me a video of Aaron Judge hitting a home run off a remotely decent pitch." And I don't know why it came back around, but someone who's a big fan of the show, someone I'm a big fan of, someone we're going to have on, someone who even listens to the show regularly, TJ Stats, Thomas Nestico, has a great model, great data visualizations and pitcher player cards for any time they pitch in a game this season. He made the compilation of all of Aaron Judge's home runs because he was like, these are not all pitches right down the middle. Of course, no one can ever just hit home runs on pitches right down the middle.
No.
And he was like, LMAO ratio, this proved my point. And then people were going back and forth about like why baseball players being better if they can hit home runs on worse pitches. And to me, it was the most fucking brain dead argument in the world because I don't
Yeah.
understand how you think it's known to tell somebody else that objectively the best baseball player in the league, Aaron Judge, is
Yes.
incredible. Like, there's
He's
no
either
hating
one
on
A,
Aaron
one
Judge
B, or
anymore.
one C.
He's unbelievable. It's everything he does every single game is astounding. He gets intentionally walked like he's Barry Bonds right now with no men on base. It's
As they
fucking
should.
nuts. Yeah, because that lineup behind him is not so good still. Still better, but not so good. I don't understand why it's a bad thing that Aaron Judge hits meatballs out of the park. I don't understand
know
that.
either.
The fact that he
Something
doesn't
we
swing at
were
pitches, yeah.
clamoring for Mets players. We're like, man, I really wish the Mets would hit meatballs more. They don't really do damage on those pitches.
No, it just doesn't make sense. I also want to do this just to come to bat for my buddy Thomas because he's fucking great content creator, does awesome stuff. So it's just like people are like, oh, and then he was going through all the pitches and being like, because he had a hit home run yesterday, Aaron Judge, on a sinker that was like inside Jose
Yeah.
Barrios. Like it was off the plate on his hands. And the dude, someone was like, what about this one? And the dude was like, oh, you think this is a good pitch? LOL. It's like, what do you mean, you fucking idiot? Do you know anything about baseball? What makes that not a good pitch? What makes that? I don't know. It was pissing me the fuck off. So I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I caught that one. I did not know at the time that it was TJ Stats who was getting involved. So shout out
Yeah.
TJ.
It's crazy.
I won't fight for the Yankees often, but the two things I have been fighting for recently are Aaron Judge is sick and Jazz Chisholm was a good trade.
Yeah, but I mean, Jazz Chisholm literally saved their season, like
Yeah.
we both predicted. But it was just such a brain dead argument where it's like then people were like, here's the players who hit the most home runs on bad pitches. Like I don't want my players swinging at bad pitches.
I
The
got
better
Media
baseball
Marvel.
players. Yeah,
Yeah. DraftKings. The DraftKings
Okay.
news. Media Marvel. If you
That's
live in the
that's some
states of
bullshit.
Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania, or Vermont, which I didn't know Vermont had gambling. That feels like a state that would be so anti-gambling. I don't know why, but it feels like they'd hate it. DraftKings is adding a surcharge to subtract from your net winnings to pay their taxes on gambling revenue in
Bullshit.
states that are 20% tax or for gambling companies. So if you live in Illinois, New York, Pennsylvania, or Vermont, you're going like your 100 to win 200 is now going to be like 100 to win 195.60 or something like that, which is insane. They're taxing the winnings. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I think we've all gotten way too desensitized to gambling over the last few years just because of how accessible it is, how many ads for it, how much it's a big part of all of our lives. These companies take us and bend us over the barrel and we gamble with them.
Oh,
The
so
VIGs
much.
the VIGs that they run would be considered inconceivable to the old days of gambling, like real bookies and stuff like that. So everyone be careful when you're using these gambling apps. I think that it's just ridiculous what it is. I think we might look back in 50 years and be like, that was fucked up when there was all this gambling happening
definitely.
for teenage men and early 20s men for all those years. But bless you.
Thank you.
I think it's ridiculous, and the fact that they're doing this and pawning off their own tax bill to their users, everyone should just stop using that app. Fuck them. Everyone should stop that. And then one more quick media marvel. Such a weird episode, guys. Sorry, it's just all insane. I got in a weird argument with people on Padres Twitter after the deadline because people were so excited about their trade deadline. Wizard AJ Preller, they're playing really well. Everything's coming together for the Padres. And I hit someone with like a little tongue in cheek, like, yeah, this team would be great if they had Juan Soto on it. And someone was like, bro, this team would be nowhere if they didn't make that Juan Soto trade. That trade saved the season. And then bringing up the fact that Dylan Cease threw no hitter this week, he's been the guy that kind of saved their team. And I was like, you're totally right about that. But you only traded one of the starting pitchers you got in that Soto deal to get Dylan Cease. And then just now the trade deadline, you just traded two kind of almost better starting pitching prospects, at least similar starting pitching prospects. However you rank those three guys, I don't know. Probably depends on the front office you were dealing with, into two relievers. And I was like, if you would have just traded those guys for Dylan Cease. You probably still get Dylan Cease, and you could have had one last ride with Juan Soto. And if this Padres team had Juan Soto and just didn't have Michael King,
Best team in
they're
baseball.
probably the favorites to win the World Series right now, or at least
Yeah.
the favorites for the National League. And this dude was arguing me saying, I don't agree with you. I actually said, he said, you're talking about giving up higher end talent just to acquire Cease. You have no more trade chips than acquire Jason Allen or Tanner Scott. You would still have a weak bullpen at this point in the season. I said, so with that logic, do you think your team is better right now with Jason Allen and Tanner Scott or Juan Soto? And he said, run prevention is the name of the game. That's always the higher need. I would way rather have those dominant bullpen guys over someone who's great offensively. And I was like, that was the stupidest fucking thing I ever heard in my life.
Yeah, that's a stupid person take. That is.
I stopped replying.
Yeah, no, that's when you're like, oh wow, I can't argue with this kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Like that's different. Yeah, ask the Mariners how they're feeling about run prevention.
Yeah,
This
run
team's like
prevention is the best.
seems like holy shit. How do we have the best pitching in the league and we still don't win that many games? We're only 5 games above 500, basically the same record as the Mets. Like,
yeah, but
with that pitching, because run prevention.
Run prevention is the best. But I think it's the end of a Soft Media Marvel's weird series review. I don't know, guys. Just a weird episode. It's weird. This is the dog days of August for podcasters as well. Like, we got to get through this. This is a big time of the season for the Mets. And we have another weird week ahead because we have a critical, such a fucking important game on Monday, 5:15 p.m. Eastern time, as weird as it could possibly be, against the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis. In a game that was made up,
baby.
Andre Palante versus Sean Manaea, ace-off, in a game that one of the most important games the Mets have played all season, truthfully.
Yeah, looking at the standings right now for the wild card, the Mets are a game
one
above.
And a half out.
Yeah, 1.5 out, a game above the Cardinals. So a win here would be pretty huge for the Mets.
And this Cardinals team is playing Sunday Night Baseball right now as we're recording this. So it's weird. They're home anyway, so they have to play a game. But this Mets team getting on a plane after the shit Anaheim series, going to St. Louis for one day. It's going to be, I can't wait to hear everything the reporters and the announcers are saying about this stuff, because it's such a bizarre thing in baseball. People are going to have a lot of shit to say. One day before they go to Colorado, where we know things always get fucking super hectic. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm a little nervous for this game. I'm a little nervous for the next week of this road trip, because it's a tenuous time in the Mets season, and there's a team that probably objectively has been overperforming for a very long time now. And as we know in baseball, as is true in life, while there always finds its level, you never get too high, you never get too low. You always wind up finding the center. So
you're always going to be 5 games above 500, 5 below, or right in the middle.
That's it.
That's the Mets.
That's the fucking game. It's very important that the Mets get themselves on the right track in this game on Monday, and then have a big series in Colorado.
Yes, because we got to win some ball games here. Losing 2 or 3 of the Angels changes how this road trip feels a little bit, and
a lot.
Not the best start to what can be an annoyingly long road trip.
Yeah, and even just looking ahead, we have pitching matchups in this Colorado series. Severino versus Kyle Freeland, Tuesday night, 8:40 start time. Paul Blackburn versus Ryan Feltner, half an ace off, 8:40 start time on Wednesday night. And then Thursday, 3 o'clock, nice little 3 o'clock game. David Peterson, which I'll go out on a limb, and I'll say future Rocky David Peterson, and make that call now.
Okay.
That's where he's from.
Kid.
I feel like there's a good chance he winds up back there one day against Austin Gomber, famously traded for Nolan Arenado.
Do you know who's made an appearance for the Colorado Rockies in their bullpen this year? I got a name for you. 5 appearances. Jeff Hartlieb.
Wow.
Remember him?
Met legend.
He was horrible. He was so bad. He pitched 4 innings for the Mets and gave up 7 earned runs and 6 walks and a hit by pitch. That's unbelievable. How did he even do that?
That was 2021?
2021, yeah. Jeff Hartlieb.
I feel like he pitched in that crazy Red series in Cincinnati, right? I feel like he got an appearance then.
Let me check the game logs for 2021 for Jeff Hartlieb.
Oh, what an episode. We love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us for this one. But
yeah, he did pitch in the Chaos game in Cincinnati. Well, no, not the Chaos one. He just got shelled late in the game. And then he pitched against the Dodgers 2 weeks later and got shelled again.
All right, good. So hope we can see Jeff Hartlieb this year. But this Rockies team, I mean, we just did it with the Angels. They are fucking bad. They're bad. They're legit bad. They just lost series to the Padres. They when they're not home, they really can't hit. So now they're going to be home, so they will be able to hit. There's a good time for offense to try and wake up a little bit, shake off the cobwebs. I hate, because people always say it fucks you up in Colorado for one thing, but then always fucks you up for the next series as well. Yes. I've seen some people do studies about that as to why the Rockies are always so bad, because they're always going into and out of Colorado, so they never really on a groove. Fucking sucks that after we play this Rockies series, we have to go to Seattle, and I think we're facing Kirby. Yeah, right now we're scheduled to face Bryce Miller, Logan Gilbert, and Luis Castillo.
Nice.
So probably 3 to 35 best pitchers in baseball.
Good run prevention.
2 of the top 15. Yeah, so that's going to be a tough one. But it's Rockies team again. They're not very good. Zico Tovar, your boy's having a good year.
Love him.
Brenton Doyle's awesome. He hit another home run on Sunday. The dude's fucking blazing hot right now. He's stupid hot. Ryan McMahon's a good ball player. He hasn't been as good. You guys remember Michael Tolia from when they came to Citi
He's
Field?
gonna
That
hit a
guy's
home run or
annoying as
two.
hell. He's gonna hit. We faced this team recently. You guys know how bad they are. They're probably even worse than that. We shouted them out last time. We're gonna shout them out again. Victor Vodnik has some fucking
Yes.
stuff. Mark and I spotted that guy in the 2021 Arizona Fall League. Shout out
Ezekiel
us.
Tovar too.
Yeah, he could throw 98 miles an hour. He's probably the first Rockies closer who people have felt kind of good about. Besides, I guess Bard for that one season ever. So
Oh, wow, Daniel
weird. I
Bard.
mean,
Holy
should
crap.
we like even we have to preview the Cardinals a little bit too? I guess I don't know.
I don't know. Just watch the game tomorrow. Like that's kind of my
Yeah,
vibe with the Cardinals game is like I don't want to preview
Cardinals.
it because just beat them.
Yeah, but I gotta say the Cardinals are good. We played the Cardinals
Gotta be
last; they were
better.
really bad. They've had a similar shape of their season as the Mets, just without any like gay mascots. But they have found a way to be really, really good for the last few months after really bad May, especially. Mason Wynn's a good ball player. Wilson Contreras is awesome. Goldschmidt and Arenado have finally started to wake up a little bit, not to what they once were or think they can be, but they're not dreadful anymore. Tommy Pham has walked into the building and changed everything as he does every trade
Of
deadline. Coming
course.
home, Tommy Pham with the Cardinals. Alec Burleson's a fucking awesome ball player. Brandon Donovan is exactly what he always is. Lars Nootbaar's finding his footing a little bit. It's a good baseball team. So it's a good baseball team. It's a really good lineup. It's a pretty good bullpen. It's a bad rotation. So you just got to hit Andre Palante. That's it.
Yeah, Andre Palante, ground ball king. I think he has like
Big curveball.
I think he has like a 65% ground ball rate and a 20% K rate, which is kind of shocking. That's insane.
That's the OG Framber Valdez method. It's
Yes.
a 18% strikeout rate, 61% ground ball rate.
Yeah, that's like shockingly high.
Yeah, he's got good curveball and slider though. So I think both the knuckle curve too. He really spikes it. He gets like his whole hand on that curveball and just gets right down on it. But
And he looks like Jeremy Allen White.
he does look like Jeremy Allen White a lot. So it's so weird playing one game. It's such an obscure feeling as a baseball fan. Like we have one game against this team.
Just beat their ass.
On Monday at 5. A game at 5:00 p.m. That's
Beat 'em.
even weirder.
I'd love to be throwing some stones at the bowling alley off a Mets win, having some nice ice cold beer.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe we should watch this game tomorrow midday, 5:00. We got to do something.
Before
5:00 game.
we could do it before we go to the bowling alley.
Before
Basically.
bowling, yeah, something
So,
local.
Long
Yeah,
Island City.
I guess. Yeah.
That's the only problem. All right, let's read
Yeah.
some of these reviews because we do have quite a few. I'm just going to start from the top here. Jefferson Zell. It says Southpaw. You guys are giving us some lengthy reviews. Thank you for the 5 stars, Jefferson. Hey, James and Mark, big fan of the podcast here, watching for years. Maybe you can bring a fan on the podcast once, ... Seems like he wants to come on. Anyway, I want to address one thing about the Mets trade deadline. After DFAing Diekman and not trading for a lefty reliever, we seemingly have no lefty arms in the pen, unless Peterson has moved to the pen. Even so, we do not have a reliable lefty to get outs in the bullpen. Coming September, I would not want to see the Youngs as our only lefty options. What are your thoughts on this unspoken issue? I believe it will be a greater cause for concern in the future. I'm going to let you take this one.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit in the past where I don't think having a lefty is as important these days with the 3 batter minimum rules, because if a lefty can't get a righty out, then it's as bad as having these righties face lefties. It just winds up being the same. And also the Youngs haven't been that bad.
Yeah.
I've been totally fine with the Youngs. It's funny that both their names are Young, which is cool, but I think that Budo and Brazoban are intended, even Maton. These are guys I think they're intended to get big lefties out, because we talked about Brazoban and Budo with the changeup. Maton has the 2 distinct breaking balls. Like Brazoban has the cutter as well. Like I think these are all pitches and repertoires that are destined to get lefties out. Even though those guys are not lefties themselves. Even Stanek, because he has the tight slider and the splitter. Like these are a lot of repertoires that shouldn't really have major platoon splits.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good reason why the Mets don't seem that scared about having no lefties in the pen.
Got another one here from Mets'd Boys, 5 stars, best podcast out there. Love the episode, Mark and James. Love the work you guys do. Big fan of you guys. I'm 18 years old too. Well, we're not 18 years old, but
so we appear to be 18 years old. That's kind of a problem.
that'd be concerning. I've been a listener since day one. Do you think we should have done more at the deadline? I would like to have you on my podcast soon called The Gavin Coe Show. Can you guys shout me on the next episode? Let's go, Mets. Keep up the good work. Shout Gavin Coe.
Yeah, shout out Gavin Coe. What was the question? I'm so
should we have done more in the deadline? Nah.
I don't think so.
I don't know what they could have done more. I really don't.
I don't know. I think at the end of the day, sorry, this team's not that good. It really isn't. It's okay. We're totally fine. I think if we still had Kodai Senga, they might have pushed a little harder because, like, oh, we have a high-end pitcher. Like, we can get in the mix. Sarah said a tweet the other day, full rankings of every single team in the playoff race based on their starting pitcher stuff plus. The Mets were last by far. This team it's not. We're just out there having fun right now.
House money.
We wouldn't even be in this race if it wasn't for McDonald's and Pride. Like, that was it. That saved this entire season. If those things didn't happen, I don't know where the fuck we'd be. Yeah, but I got another review here. I know who left this review, so I want to read it. from Jay Sups,
Ooh,
GOAT
okay.
Mets podcast. As someone who's moved away from the NYC area and has no one to talk Mets about, this podcast gives me the Mets insight I need on a daily basis. Also gets me through my hybrid office days. These guys are the GOATs. Thank you. Shout out Sups. Sups is the man. Funny about Sups. He's a mutual friend of ours he has a mutual friend of ours. Good friend of Luke's from college.
Hmm.
And when we were with the Mets, I want to say Luke went to Subs because he's like one of my buddies, a huge Mets fan. I got to tell him about your podcast. I was like, yeah, do it, dude. And then he was like, hey, you should listen to my friend's podcast about the Mets. And he was like, what the fuck would I listen to a podcast for? I watch the games. No one needs to tell me what to fucking think about this team. And now he's leaving us reviews, tell about how great we
Nice.
are. So thank you for turning the page on there, Subs. You're the man.
Got one from Gen Z Locals, 5 stars. Time for me to clock in for this review. This podcast is one of my favorite things in the world. Waking up for my job with the podcast notifications that a new episode dropped fills me with such joy. I always listen when getting ready, but I pause when I start my 40-minute commute. As soon as I'm sat for my internship at work, I'm finishing that episode to help pass the time. Also, I finally met Hollywood Mark. Sorry for being awkward, but I was scared for some reason. Oh, this is Bella. Okay.
Bella,
Anyways,
yeah.
probably the best podcast ever, Bella. All good, Bella. Nice to
Bella's
meet
the
you
best.
finally as the Hollywood guy, as you said.
Yeah, Bella's probably our number one fan. We love Bella. No,
Yeah, that's not related
also,
to us.
no, of course. Yeah, probably. Either, I don't know, maybe. But I also
My dad listens to everything.
Yeah, my dad too. He fucking loves it. He always texts me like, "Great episode." I'm like, "Thanks," but I apologize too for Bella. Everyone says they like waking up with that Spotify notification. I scheduled the episode to go out last week on Spotify. It didn't go up, so I had to take it down and put it back up. So
One
I
job.
was frustrated about that. My apologies, guys, on Thursday if you woke up and didn't have this podcast for a few hours. Got some eats. Got my blue collar friend. Shout out Connor at 9. He was like, "What the fuck is the podcast?" I was like, "Oh, it's my bad, dude." But I mean, thank you guys all. Last episode was hilarious. Like, shout out Frankie
Yes,
Peppers.
Frankie Peppers.
We're definitely going to pull the voicemails back. We're going to get Frankie Peppers back sometime because it's just electric, all of it. So, also really cool to interact with you guys because that's the whole reason we do this show. It's the best part.
I think we have 2 or 3 more reviews. You want me to just keep ripping them, or you want to take one here?
I'll take one. I'll get the next
Take
one, I
Dr.
guess.
Virus.
All right, Dr. Virus 2015. That's a wild name. Best pod out there. These two guys are the best. Well-informed, good analysis, extremely fun. I had to finally review today after all the Yankee hate. That's funny. Diehard Mets and Red Sox fan. Also funny. Religiously listen to them while I'm doing work, and it's the thing I look forward to the most after a series. If you two ever see a guy with a Gil Hodges jersey on the game, be sure to say hi. Keep up the good work. They killed Gil Hodges.
Gil Hodges. They killed Gil Hodges. One of the best rants of all time. Got one from Mike and Joe. Hey, Mark and James, love the podcast. I've been watching and listening since early 2021 and met you both back in 2022 at the QBC, Queens Baseball Convention. With the deadline coming up, okay, I'm not going to talk about the deadline stuff. Sorry, we missed you there. And keep up the great work. I can't wait for the trade deadline content coming up. P.S. James mentioned on a past episode that he has thought about making long-form content on YouTube about baseball history from the baseball history book that he's reading. And I, for one, would love to see something like that from James. Let's go Mets.
All right, yeah. Maybe I should do a YouTube thing. I don't know.
I think that's everybody. I think
it's everyone. We did Pat Stats before. We got them all.
Yes, we've got them all. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Drop a like on the YouTube video. Subscribe as well if you have not yet done so. Follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review. We do appreciate it. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
I'm Draft Nick Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll bring the juice next episode. This is a weird one. So.
Bad series, weird one.
Bad series. Maybe not the best episode, but we appreciate you for listening. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace out. Thank you, guys. Let's go Mets.